Welcome in to Ready Set Live, episode 21. Today, the main focus is all about new locations.
Ready, set, draw!
And we're back, but somewhere new, and with someone old.
Yes, I am back. The craziness of the holidays was busy for a lot of us, and
Yeah.
also my child, which we've talked about on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be back, and just we're testing out some new stuff, a new
yes.
location. So
You want me to explain that real
I hope,
quick?
yeah, go for it.
So basically, guys, we have a remote setup now, just in case the studio is not available for other bookings or whatever it may be, because life happens sometimes. We want to make sure that we don't miss a week just because the convenient setup is not available. We want to make sure that we can get content to you and discussions to you no matter where we are. And the cool part about this setup is, as long as there's something to plug into, we're live, baby.
Yeah, we got power, we
Yeah.
got cameras,
Ready,
we're good.
set, live, baby.
Exactly.
So I feel like it's very fitting that we're in this beautiful location because we're discussing locations today. A little bit of release stories as well, but I want to just start off with the hot take question.
all
Okay?
right. Hot take.
What was your opinion of locations before the set was released, before you got to test it?
So since I guess I didn't get to talk about them at all on the podcast. So
Mhm.
for me, locations, I was very mid on them. I was
Yeah.
like, these are going to be okay. I thought, the Queen's Castle or whatever, that one was going to be great because I was
Yeah.
just like, because of the ability.
Mm-hmm.
But the lore gain is so sneaky.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so sneaky. If it has one lore, it's good. If it's got two, it's really good.
Yeah.
And anything other than that is a plus. So
Yeah. So I think we have a fly visitor.
It's okay.
Special guest. I feel like with our take on locations, when we recorded the episode, we had a mailbag question about them, and they were asking like, what is, I think it was Ostendicus. If you're still watching, let us know.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a question about like, what's the best color for locations? Do you think they're gonna be bad tempo plays? Like, what's the deal? And I'm pretty sure we were probably higher on locations than most people were.
Okay.
But still very hesitant to like
Yes.
jump on board because you think about it, you're like, man, if I don't know how often I would play 0 strength characters,
Yeah.
but if their willpower's high enough, maybe if the lore's worth it, because it's not like the locations can sing. But I think what we've learned is the way the game played beforehand was you would leave your characters unexerted until things got a little spicy. Then you'd kind of like selectively pick and choose when you wanted to safely challenge or quest with them. Like you waited for the right conditions, and you would wait for openings when your opponent would exert characters. But with locations now, it's like the game has a completely like unlocked the door where like it feels way cheaper to like threaten lore. It's unlike characters. Like characters would get to a point where you'd be like, that character that you have there, I could probably let it sit there because you might not quest with it.
Exactly.
See.
Yeah.
We'll see. But with locations, it's always getting lore, so it's always threatening lore. So it pretty much puts you in a position where like, oh, you need to answer this. And if you don't answer it, I'm going to get lore every single turn without a doubt.
Yeah, from playtesting, I've noticed, like, especially the 2 lore ones, I've noticed that, if they get 4 lore from that, it's a huge tempo swing, in my opinion. I mean, just
Yeah.
4. They're
yeah.
almost guaranteed to get the 2 lore from it because most time they're not going to play it down. Like, I'm never going to play mine knowing that literally next turn you can answer it, like with what you have on board. Now, you might have sneaky stuff in your hand with Maui or any of the actions or songs, but that's one thing I've noticed. Some of the lower will-powered ones, I haven't been sold on yet. I run the Bayou in a couple decks, and
That's like a utility thing. to me.
it's utility, but you really only want to see it early game because I mean 3 strength is easy to get out there. So and then you don't want to play and then it just get taken out on their next turn.
Yeah.
But it's one of those plays like I like seeing it early, but it ends up in the ink a lot. So I have an aggro deck that I run it in, so I like to go wide.
Yeah, I think with the Bayou in particular, devoting a whole card slot to just having one character that can quest to draw and discard, or on play draw and discard, like Simba or Cinderella. Cards like that, it felt like, okay, I got my use out of it, but it's understated for it because of its effect. So I really have to make use of this. Like Cinderella, you want to shift.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Bayou, it kind of opens it up like, what if every card said that on it? It's like
exactly.
it can be nice. I know whenever I've played with Bayou, I've kind of like thrown it out there. It's easy to weave into a turn.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I wasn't going to spend 2 ink anyways this turn. I was already planning on not spending everything. So let's go ahead and like, I'm going to quest with Hiram Flaversham to pop an item. Let's move him over to the Bayou,
Yep.
then quest,
Yep.
pop it, and then I can draw and discard and kind of filter my hand a little bit. It's pretty cool that way.
To me, to kind of add on to that, it's kind of like a lore sync, like we use the word mana sync.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that because it can sit there and get incremental value with one lore or two lore pips on it on the upkeep, but it's nice that it goes, this extra 1 ink that I wasn't going to use,
Yeah.
I can use it and put someone there.
I really feel that with Motunui.
Yes.
The Sapphire one, because one of the cool things about Motunui was I feel like when you play that location, you can kind of forego some other. If you have like a really character heavy deck, you might not want to play Detective Mickey if you have too many uninkables already. But Motunui kind of opens up a lane of like, oh, I can play this location, and if I'm aggressive, especially, I can throw my characters in and get ramped just with this card for multiple things. So the utility's nice, but even I think you would agree, even the vanillas of locations, they can be threatening.
Especially like Agrabah. I mean, having that 5 on that willpower on it, it's nice. But even just the common ones in every color that are 1/4s, 1 lore pip, like they can fit into some deck slots. You may not be able to use 4 of them if you don't want to, but they're also good for budget decks. I mean, and I love brewing and building decks, and I've noticed that with budget, you can some of those cards. It's like I could throw in a location or two. I have a deck that my go wide strategy deck that only has 3 beast. So I've been adding some bayous in. Yeah, it's a budget reason. That's what I'm saying.
What you got,
so I added some bayous in to fill that slot and another slot. But it's like, hey, look, sometimes you just got to work with what you got. Yeah. And just the utility from them is anything extra over the lore is just nice.
Yeah.
The one I've had a little, I play tested with and haven't been is the Maui's
Place of Exile.
Yeah, Place of Exile. That and gaining no lore.
Yeah, I think that's
and
the
having
same
no
way.
like extra lore gain like the brooms. It gives lore to characters there. So that one makes sense. But like paying 2 for it and then having to get to it, then you finally get resist. You know, it's like to me, I'm like, man, I don't know.
I think in general, I've kind of found the same idea, and it's locations really find their juice when you gain lore from them.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you really are just paying a tax of like, what do you want to pay to get this ability on your characters? And some of them, like Maui's Place of Exile, I don't know if I want to pay every single time I want to get resist 1.
Yeah.
And I've noticed too, when I'm playing against those locations, I can more so like just their willpower is not insane, and they're not getting resist unless they have vault doors. So if it comes down to it, if giving that ability to those characters is so nuts, I'll just take care of the location.
Exactly.
I'll just take care of that.
Yeah.
And in particular, I've noticed that with the Jolly Roger too. The Jolly Roger has no lore as well, and it's like, unless I just really need Rush, Ruby kind of already has Rush, so you're not really gaining a bunch with that location.
Yeah, it's really the Pirates text on there that makes it like super playable. Because if you're not in a Pirates deck, I don't think you play it. I mean, you could, but
you would have to be like, I'm particularly choosing to play more Pirates than just good cards.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody has their own strategies that they build their decks with. They have their own like concessions they're willing to give with like, hey, I'm willing to cut. Maybe I don't own a Beast Tragic Hero.
Hey,
maybe
only
I
got 3.
Maybe I don't own Big Tink, and maybe I want to just like throw in more Pirates because with Jolly Roger, at least I'll know they'll be better than they were.
Yeah.
Mr. Scroop's not that bad, I guess.
If
he has Jolly Roger.
Yeah. Hey, with Jolly Roger, it makes him better.
Yeah. So if you can, do you think you need to pull up a list of the locations to remember them all?
To remember them all?
To remember most of them. Like if we were to go color by color, like discuss like what locations, how would you kind of like rate that location?
Oh gosh,
I think I can get there.
I don't think honestly. I can remember them all. I mean, of course the common ones are all almost the same, but I think I can get close. If we talk about them, I know what they are. I just don't. I'll
try to throw it to you because I've been looking at these suckers all.
You give me the names and I know which one it is pretty much.
All right. So as far as the rate of them, like how much willpower they have, I might be a little iffy on that.
Yeah.
But let's just start with Amber. Okay, Amber has Neverland, 1 cost. It has 4 willpower.
Yeah, I feel like we can throw all those in the same bracket.
Yeah. So all the vanillas of the locations, I feel like, especially the 1 cost ones, like the really cheap ones, it's just I guess all 1 cost locations that have vanilla stats, the Forbidden Mountain, Cruella de Vil's Manor, Neverland, all of those, I would say like if you're really going aggressive and you really want more 1-drops that are inkable, throw it in. Like throw it in there. Maybe you get some of their characters to exert and like challenge that instead, and so you can keep your make them think about it. Like I put my Lilo out there, and I put Neverland out there.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive to do. It gives you more one cost that's going to get you more lore probably.
And you're never going to those locations
you're
because
never
there's no
going.
reason.
Yeah, you just leave them
unless
there.
unless you get something from going to it with your character.
Yeah, so we'll say with that generic outlook, it's whatever. There's one cost that is a
Jolly
no
Roger's
lore.
one cost.
Jolly Roger's one cost. It has no lore. It's uninkable. Another one just like that is Bell's House.
That
for
makes
the items.
yeah,
Makes
the items.
If you have a character there, then items cost one
yeah.
less. That one is tricky to me because I feel like in a location deck or in an item deck, you really don't have a lot of slots that you would want to just give up characters for.
Yeah.
And so you're already playing like a high, velocity of just item, just churning and burning. And I feel like you could make them cheaper, but if you're playing an item deck with that purpose, Scrooge's hat came out.
Yeah, you'd rather play that.
just-
That's what I was
it's
going to.
just
I was
an
going to bring
item.
that card. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it on the podcast quite a few times, but just being the thing that it also discounts is huge.
Yeah.
There's other cards that are good too that don't do that.
Yeah.
But like, would I rather have a location that does it or an item that does it that I can also use with Flaversham and Pop It
and it synergizes with stuff like Tamatoa.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think all those are kind of mid. I mean, for the most part, I'm gonna go like C+ or something like that if we gave a rating, or like a 2.5 star. They're just all mid. It's really the next step where you
what
get
would you say
complicated.
is the best one cost location? Because everybody's got one. You got Neverland. You have Jolly Roger, Bell's House. You have
Is Jolly Roger and Agrabah one cost?
Agrabah's a 3 cost.
3 cost. Oh yeah, because it gains more.
It's 2 lore. It's 5 willpower. It's pretty nuts.
Gotcha.
The other one's the one cost is Bayou. I think that might be the best one, personally.
It's between that and Jolly Roger for me. I really
Yeah.
like Jolly Roger.
Have you played Jolly Roger in your decks, or is it just when you played against it?
Played against it?
Okay,
But
so
it's always been Pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. If Jolly Roger's being played, it's always Pirates. But
Yeah.
the Pirate getting there for free is huge. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a
Yeah.
free
That's true.
voyage every time,
Yeah.
or whatever, one person voyage. But so it's to me, it is a more defining one. Maybe those two, Bayou, and that could go up to like that C+ or B tier.
Okay.
Just bump up a little bit. Things like the Forbidden Mountain, they're still nice, but it's like I'm only playing that if I'm on a budget. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm not playing.
But for your budget decks,
Yeah.
honestly, the locations probably are better than usual. Like you throw down a Forbidden Mountain for one, it has like a willpower like 5 or 6.
I think it's 6.
That's
yeah.
gonna sit there.
Yeah.
It's gonna sit
They're
there.
probably not even gonna touch it. They're
Yeah.
probably just gonna be like, whatever. That's one
Yeah.
lore clock.
At the it's a one lore
Unless I
20
have-
turn clock for the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about I guess for the next one, and we're not trying to just go through all the locations, but it's kind of like you want to give context to our discussions, and I want to like kind of peel out what locations have really stood out because we actually have the benefit, other than like pre-release discussion, we have the benefit of playing with these cards now, and I think everybody's opinions on locations has probably changed, unless you're psychic. Are you psychic?
No.
Okay. Well, just
Like I
had to
said,
put
I was
that out
very
there.
mid on them. I was very mid, and I'm actually much higher now.
There's one in particular that is 4 cost that I would like to discuss.
Okay.
It is one of the best locations, in my opinion, that it's not RLS Legacy. It's
That's
not
what I was
Queen's
leaning
Castle.
to. Oh, is it Duck Manor?
McDuck Manor.
Yeah, it's
dude.
much better than I thought.
Dude,
It's
that
much better.
card, I feel like the way it had to be evaluated, and I've said this before, I think, on the show. Not on the show, actually. I've said it before just in civil conversation. As opposed to what kind of conversation, I guess.
Uncivil.
Uncivil. You're so stupid.
McDuck Manor's terrible.
It's so terrible. No, I feel like with the McDuck Manor, the way I've had to evaluate it when I play test is, imagine this is a 4-cost character that's inkable, 0 strength, 9 willpower, 2 lore, and it basically says ward against everything but steel.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I think that one is like, I'm just giving new or whatever alphabetic tiers, but I would say that's more on my B+, A- side.
Yeah.
Because if they're not steel, it's on the A side.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's annoying.
But decks have been built on the back of like, I'm just gonna have to forego my
Yeah.
matchup against
Yeah,
steel.
like
Bucky is one of those things. Like
Exactly.
discard.
Yeah.
You play the game, you're like, I'm willing to accept that I will be bad.
Yeah.
Against steel.
yeah. So and it's just one of those things like it's definitely against steel. It's like they got to find the answers, and really, Along Came Zeus is only partial answer.
Yeah.
It's not full.
It's just Rise of the
Yeah,
Titans.
Rise of the Titans is the only one that's like a true answer, and that 9 willpower on there is a threat. Like I even hate going against RLS Legacy. Like
Oh yeah.
like I've been mentioned a couple times. My aggro deck, with its Amber Steel. I go super wide, but everything's got like 3 attack and under. It takes like 2 or 3 people to take out an RS
At some
Legacy,
point,
and you're
just like, I gotta outrace you.
yeah, that's
pretty
what I
much
do
it.
every time. I'm like, listen, this game's going to be over one way or another.
Yep,
so
yep.
it's just race to the lore.
One of the games that I've played with McDuck Manor in particular,
Yeah.
I was playing with John Silver
Okay.
alongside of it, which he already gets more benefit, right? For
He gets resist
he
and
gets
more
resist
lore.
and another lore
Yeah.
for every single location that's out.
So nice.
And it plays right on curve afterwards because you play John Silver down on 3, and then on 4 you play McDuck Manor. You threaten the McDuck Manor lore, and John Silver just got better right when he's going to quest. So it's pretty sweet. John Silver, it's weird because I feel like my opponents have equally valued John Silver and McDuck Manor because they're like I can maybe take care of John, but I will never take care of McDuck Manor.
Yeah.
If I take care of John and use my resources to get rid of John, because I'll take the damage from John. I'll have to chew into it. He has resist to like 1 or 2 at that point. So it's telling to me to be like, people value this McDuck Manor way higher than I thought. And the amount of answers, unless you're playing like Maui and Maui's Fishhook to get like a 9 strength character that can rush in.
I guess Ruby has the next best
Ruby
answers.
has the next best, but it's so specific what you have to have. And
still not fun because you're having to use two cards to take out the one.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, too, I think, tell me if you felt this way, too, with locations, especially the 2 lore locations.
Yeah.
Your opponent has to adjust their math when they see it. They see it like a character's going to quest, right? But when you've played, have you not felt like you're doing your own calculations, and then you look at your location and you're like, oh, dang, I'm actually going to be at 15 next turn. You know? Like, that's what, in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, I can quest for 4. I'm going to be at 15. I can actually get to 19 next turn.
For me, it's the opposite. It's my opponent's going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking for them.
You played less locations.
I've played less, yeah. And like I said, I've gone against Pirates, which RLS Legacy and Jolly Rogers in there. And sometimes they squeeze in some steel ones too, with Bayou and stuff, just because they have steel as well. So with that being said, it's just I've seen it more on their end of the side because just the decks I play, but it has been, I'm like, ooh. They are about to gain 2 more lore. Like this is a problem.
Yeah.
Like,
and the willpower is high enough that you respect it. Because I think one thing that was underestimated in this game was like when it's only characters interacting with characters and other characters' willpowers were typically put in check. Your low strength characters, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Because the willpowers were still low enough where you felt like I can trade a couple and I will get there. Like 6 willpower was seen as like, oh, you're cooking. With 6.
For sure.
A lot of big targets had 6 willpower and then lower strength. But 2, 3 strength things can kind of bump into that and you're fine. But
anything over 6 is annoying.
Yeah, anything over 6 is annoying, even when it's a character.
Yeah.
But when it's a location, it's like, no, you have to challenge this.
Yeah.
You've got to do that. Like, because a lot of the damage we have, which we'll get more damage, I assume, in the game that says deal 3 damage or 4 damage.
And I could see
locations.
like bounce mechanics against locations.
Yeah,
like this bounces a location or an item. You know, maybe not a character, but a location or an item. So
I've
like
still felt like
stuff
there's
like
gotta
that.
there's got to be an action that's like Taka.
Yeah.
Like Heart of the Tafiti's, like you know, angry Taka that like maybe you gain control of your opponent's location or something.
Or destroy all
Or
locations.
destroy all. I mean, that would honestly
Even yours.
Yeah.
Like destroy all.
Yeah, that brings up a discussion to me that another point I was wanting to make.
Board wipes for locations. I like it.
Yeah.
And items.
Board wipes for locations and items would be pretty cool. But that brings up another point of like, I feel like with this set we've really rounded out a bunch of strategies, and the whole discussion of like sideboards came up. And for those of you who are less familiar with TCGs, at competitive events in particular with other card games, the whole idea was you bring your main deck of whatever your deck size is, 60 cards, and then in some games you can bring like 15 or 10 more cards that in between games of a best of 3 match, you're allowed to like substitute cards out of your deck to put those cards into your deck. And you basically make that 15 cards your cards that you use to counter against decks that you figure you're going to see. So in Lorcana, if there was a side deck, you would put things like Rise of the Titans in your side deck.
Yes.
You'd put things like Break and stuff that would like
things that I can even think of like Be Prepared would be more sideboarding.
Yes, it would be more.
And Grab Your Swords would be more sideboarding, especially Grab Your Swords.
Yeah,
stuff like
it's
that.
uninkable.
Yeah,
and so sometimes you don't want to devote those cards to your deck for your uninkable slots, but you're like, if I'm playing against aggro, though, I know I want
exactly.
That. Well, in Lorcana, the whole design philosophy was we're going to make any card that feels very targeted inkable.
Yeah.
So that you can make a choice of like, you know, if you're not playing against what it's good against, you ink it. And I feel like in this set in particular, we have the most sideboard quality card, and it's Rise of the Titans.
Yeah.
But the ironic part is items weren't played everywhere, right? Like, if you ran against an item deck, they're playing a lot of items. And if you weren't playing against an item deck, most likely the item they were playing, maybe unless it was like a lantern or a Sleepy's flute,
Yeah.
it's not an item that you're like, oh my gosh, that
Exactly.
is going to destroy me.
It needs
So
there needs to be like bigger cost items that you want to
that you want
where
to play.
where paying the 3 feels good because you're taking like a 5 cost
Yeah.
item, like something that's
Yeah.
really changing the game.
Yeah.
Now most of them, like you said, most of them the item decks want to pop themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, I need that popsicle to
Yeah.
die so I can draw 2. You
Yeah.
know, with my
Well-
own character, but still.
Well, I think with Rise of the Titans, though, what's unique is because it hits locations, I think it transcends the breaks and the other tech cards.
for sure.
Because locations, unlike items, are a lot more ubiquitous in decks. Like, every deck is kind of splashing in a couple.
Yeah.
Because, like, why not? Like, I know you said, like, you play your Bayou.
Yeah.
You may not want a Rise of Titans of Bayou, but the option's there if you really need a quest with your character. And I feel like the throwing in the items that it targets is kind of gravy
Yeah.
at that point, because it's like,
Oh yes,
know-
for sure. Especially because it's inkable.
yeah,
And
And-
Along Came Zeus isn't inkable, so like
yeah,
that's the one I'm like I put most people are putting in their decks, so I'm like
Mhm.
I really could use 1 or 2 Rise of the Titans.
Yeah.
If Rise of the Titans was a song,
hmm
it'd make way more decks.
yeah. I feel like if Rise of the Titans in my testing, if it ever hits a location that has 5 willpower or more,
You're happy, yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
because that 5 number was annoying to hit.
Yeah.
Not
It was
every-
most
yeah.
likely 2 cards to take it out.
Mhm.
Most likely. Unless it's like Along Came Zeus or Maui.
Mhm.
You know, there's those few specific cards, but
Yeah.
most likely you're having to take it out with 2 things.
I think too. Another thing is one of the ways the locations have changed the game that I didn't foresee happening is because that willpower is so much to chew through, and because Lorcana's win condition is all about lore,
Yep.
not strength and willpower, it's kind of shifted the pendulum back to like, oh, now maybe having that 8 strength character or 7 strength character.
Those vanillas too.
Yeah, the vanillas that are
like,
hi-
that
they're
quest for
more-
3 lore. Or
yeah,
something.
they're more chonky.
Yeah.
Those cards actually have a purpose now.
Yeah.
Like Maui Whale. Everyone looked at it on release whenever they rated locations lower. And they were like, this Maui Whale enters play exerted. I have to pay 2 to ready it. It's just an 8/8 with 1 lore. Like,
I'm gonna bring up a card and show that how much I'm not knowledgeable on this certain card, but the Scar, the Floodborn, can he hit a character and
The-
then hit a location?
you mean just the legendary. He's not a
No,
fun
yeah,
card.
yeah,
Vicious
legendary.
cheater.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. How much
He-
is his attack? That's what I
His
was.
attack is 7.
See, that's a good one.
Wait. Oh my gosh.
I can look it up.
I think it's 5.
Ooh, that's tough.
I think it's 5.
I'm gonna look it up while we're
All right.
talking. Anyways,
Yeah, you look it up.
Yep.
But the thing is, I feel like the threshold, you have to ask yourself, like, what locations have annoyed me? I think Queen's Castle
yes.
was
oh,
one of
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
RLS Legacy is one of them. McDuck Manor is probably one of them. Another one that is kind of less played but still pretty good is Pride Lands. I think Pride Lands will see play.
It'll get better too
Yeah.
within time.
But the thing is, those locations all have like 7 willpower, 8 willpower.
6.
6. That's actually.
Rush was 6.
But you have to banish a character.
Yeah, but you can hit a character then hit a location, right?
That's true.
You may
that's
ready
true.
this character. He can't quest for the rest of the turn. So
Who cares?
it is nice.
Who
Like,
cares?
and then he sticks around. You
Mhm.
know, like say the location's the last thing you take out. With 6, that's pretty good.
It just basically makes those characters that are higher up
Yes.
on the chart. It adds one more reason to say, like, the card's all right.
Yeah.
Because I think if in the past, before locations existed, we would look at a character like King Louis, a 7-cost inkable sapphire, 7/7, 3
Yeah.
lore, vanilla, and you're like, I mean, if you're ramping,
Yeah.
I guess. But now you're like King Louis, destroyer of Queen's Castles, owner of Pride Lands, Pride Rock, like
Same big goofy night for a day.
yeah, Goofy Night for
he,
a day.
he takes out any
He
location.
bought the entire lease on McDuck Manor. It's pretty. It's not to me meaningless
Yeah.
to have cards. And I think now too we would rate those cards like Firebird, the
Yeah.
the 6 strength 2 willpower. It's
you can
pretty
see
good,
it.
right?
You can see
it
its
being
use, yeah.
played. But yeah, let's kind of round out with like the other. What would you say are like in your opinion, what are like the top? I don't want to go too hard here. Like top 3
I mean,
locations.
Castle, Queen's Castle.
You think Queen Castle's you think that's the best location
all around
all around?
because it's
I feel like
because the
it's
ability
ink.
on it.
Yeah, it's ink color. I feel. See, the thing is, like to balance Queen's Castle, I think you could just lower its willpower, but
Yeah.
not that they're gonna do that. But
No.
but the 7 to be like answer this,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
only 1 to move there.
Yeah.
So like later in the game, you could just be like 4-cost Queen's Castle. I'm gonna move for 2. I'm gonna move both my Madam Mim Fox and my Merlin Rabbit there. Go ahead.
Exactly.
know?
For me, it's just everything about the card's good.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing about the card where you're
It's
like,
2
that's
lore
bad.
too. Like
Yeah.
what the heck,
2
man?
lore. It's got 7. It makes that 6 number because the
Yeah,
6 was
Maui can't take it out on his own.
on his own. So it's like, or Long Came Zeus if it was 5,
Yep.
But if those cards would take it out, it would bump down. But
Yeah.
to me, just everything about the card is good.
Mhm.
And Amethyst is already a really strong, supportive
Yeah.
color. So that would be in the top 3. RLS Legacy.
I think that one
it's
with
so
Jim in
good.
particular, like I
Yes.
think if you had of course, a lot of the cards would be like, if you had the other card with it, it's the best.
Yeah.
But Jim is like,
And
next
since they're in the
level.
same ink,
Mhm.
you're always going to play one if you play the other. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no reason not to.
yeah,
So those 2, if you didn't have Jim, it's very mid. I mean,
Mhm.
it's getting 2 and it's got 8, but you got to
Mhm.
get the first person there with 3. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
pay 3 to get them there. And what would be the next one?
to me, honestly, I think it's might be controversial. Hot take here. It's some would say Fang. I say McDuck Manor. It's that 2 willpower.
Does Fang have 1 lore or 2?
Fang has 2.
2. But and
and
it gives ward.
It
And,
gives ward and evasive for a 2 move cost, and it has 6 willpower. I just think the 6 is like too easy to take out
yeah.
in comparison. Like it's really good abilities, but that technically means that you have to devote 2 more ink just to give one character those abilities. And things like Voyage exist and things that help things move
Yeah.
easier. They exist, but that's like that again. That's relying on extra synergy to justify a card. And I just feel like the difference between playing something down and knowing, like, more often than not, this
I'm
will
going to pull up a
survive.
list just because
Yeah.
I'm debating.
Yeah, this just more
I
often
already
than
have,
not,
I already have that pulled
Fang
up. So.
is going to be definitively easier to take out than McDuck Manor. You really want the lore, and unless you're trying to protect specific characters, I don't know. I thought Fang was going to be insane the first time it was
Yeah,
revealed.
I think Fang's up in the running. McDuck Manor's good.
Pride Rock is also pretty
I wouldn't
good.
say I wouldn't say any of the Amber ones in top 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think it's top 3 by any
Yeah.
means. But the number 3 though is like a ooh.
Legacy.
Agrabah is also pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
This might be controversial. I don't know. I think my vote goes to Jolly Roger.
Okay.
The
okay.
aggro of Rush
Yeah.
on there, like I said, I guess it's
To be
deck
fair-
specific. If it wasn't so deck specific, it would be a little bit different. But it is only
Yeah.
it's 2 to go there, so it is kind of
To be fair though, in a pirate context, I think you can give it to that. That's like a specific deck, I know. But one of the underrated abilities, speaking of like, higher strength willpower characters becoming more justifiable with these locations, Rush is also way
yes.
better now.
yes,
I noticed that in our sealed tournament we played.
Yeah.
Having Rush, one of the cards that I was like, oh my gosh, almost equivalently to McDuck Manor of like, whoa, I was wrong about this card, is that 2-cost Stitch.
Oh
who
yeah.
rushes.
Oh, everybody was on
Dude.
that card after
Yeah.
like pre-release and locations being something good. Like that card.
3 strength
I
on
definitely-
a 2-cost is already good. Being able to rush with it,
Yeah,
Bro.
I remember seeing that card and be like, "This is fodder," but
yeah,
it's not.
it's not at all. Not at all.
It's not. That was definitely one
Yeah.
I would have got wrong.
And it's one of those cards too, like in Ruby, you have payoff for damaging your
Yes.
own characters or just by banishing your own characters with Sumerian Talisman. And I feel like that synergy was something I really slept on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like these control-y Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire, they're throwing in those stitches. And that serves as not really a replacement for Teeth and Ambitions,
Yeah.
but for like, I'm going to make sure that on my turn 2, even if I go first, my turn 2, I'll answer your Bayou immediately.
Yeah.
I'll answer, and it can't answer every 1 cost, like the 4 willpowers it can't answer, but it can at least swing twice into it.
Yeah,
it's
it's
not gonna
it's a
deal
good
with
it's a
it.
good
Yeah.
play. It's definitely a good play. It
Yeah.
definitely will, it makes its home in decks because of
Mhm.
locations being strong.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, the 3 we gave up with McDuck, Manor, Fang, and Jolly Roger, I think those
Any
three
of those 3 could
any of those
float in
3
that
could
3.
could make
But
it.
top is Queen's Castle.
Yeah,
It's just because the 2 willpower, man. It's
Yeah.
only 4 costs.
and Legacy's
Ah.
still in like to me, it's bumping into that 2 or 3 slot.
Mhm.
It's really good,
Yeah.
and Jim makes it really really good.
Yeah.
So I guess if you didn't have that or Voyage,
Having evasive was also something that was weird because previously in decks that would want to like grant evasive to stuff, they would
Yeah.
do it by the means of like maybe you play the Peter Pan Shadow
Yeah.
and just give your relevant rush stuff evasive. But
Exactly.
now it's like you can be like, okay, Peter Pan, take a step back. Your
Yep.
shadow's out. We're gonna throw in RLS, and now I'm gonna make it where like literally anything.
yeah, like a Maui can go
a
on
Maui
it.
can go.
You know what I mean? Like
a
pay 1
Maui,
and a Maui goes on it. It's
yeah,
rush and evasive.
yeah,
Like it's like
that's pretty nice.
knock out almost
Yeah.
anything. That's probably like best case scenario, but
Yeah.
it's not the next turn after it's not unheard of. You play Jim and the next turn play Maui and then move him over one.
Yeah. Now I do think just to kind of properly round out this discussion of locations.
Okay.
With the amount of locations we have, we obviously expect that there's going to be more coming out in the future. Like
I think they'll be dripped into
to
every
me, it's
set.
a card type like items.
Yeah.
That it's just like expect a couple each set. I guess my question to you would be, as the current like meta of like decks that you see at our local league, decks that you would expect to see if you were to go to a tournament one day, if you're playing a steel deck, are you officially putting in Rise of the Titans into your deck?
Yeah. I definitely am if I'm playing in a tournament.
Yeah.
I don't think I am if I'm playing at locals.
You're just gonna let someone have it.
Yeah, like it's like because in a tournament I just want that option so I can take care of the answer no matter what.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the deck you're playing. Like I said, right now mine's a go wide aggro.
If
deck.
it's aggressive, you might be able to outrace the.
You might be able
threat.
to, and a long game Zeus gives me just enough to like use that and then swing with something else into it. But for me, I think it makes it. I mean, a 2 of. You know what I mean? You don't have to play all, but like sometimes it's like about having the option in your deck. I can't tell you how many times it's like you want to be able to say like, hey, if I can dig, I can get this one card and it can take care of the problem.
Yeah.
And just going like, oh, well, if I only have a long game Zeus or only have something else and it doesn't do enough, then you're like, I can't, there's nothing I can do. You know what I mean?
think it is to a statement of like our top 3 we picked was
all the
an amethyst card, a ruby card, and a potentially sapphire emerald, or maybe even like an amber one.
Yeah.
You know, like you just named all the inks almost on like, so every deck could technically play one.
Yeah.
You know, so you're never really going to worry like, man, am I even going to see locations here?
Yeah.
Especially because right now we know amethyst is one of the strongest colors.
Yeah.
And in order to plan for it,
it's
let's rise up some Queen's Castles. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. I definitely think you would have to play that card in a tournament setting, and I could be wrong. I am no professional, but in my deck, I would have it in there just because I want the option of being one card to deal with one card.
I know me personally, for my answer for it, I don't know if I'm ever going to make a steel deck again without Rise of the Titans.
Oh,
I don't know if I ever will.
Maybe I need to go change some decks out.
Because it's just, to me, I think also on the inverse of it is like, until you know I play Rise of the Titans, you make your planning of your turn.
That's true. You feel safe.
You feel safe. You're like, oh man, I'm about to burn him.
Like Jim,
out.
ROS Legacy. The next turn I go Rise the Titans.
Yeah.
And then I play something else. And you're like, okay, I got Jim.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's a big swing.
Yeah.
When you're expecting Jim to be able to have evasive and quest every turn.
Yeah. And it kind of helps too that like kind of like your argument against like we didn't play break because it was 2 cost, but most of the items that were like played were 1 and 2 cost, so you felt weird on the tempo of it of like, okay, I'm paying 2 to get rid of your 1 cost item. That kind of feels bad. But with Rise of the Titans, most of the action or most of the locations that you would really be wanting to push and take care of are 4 cost or higher.
Mm-hmm.
And so you automatically feel like, well, Rise
feels
of the
good.
Titans
Feels
feels good.
good.
Especially if you invested ink to get people there.
Yeah.
It's just wasted at that point. But that will conclude our discussion on locations. We have more to come, folks. We are going to discuss with Tyler, who is about to join us, the release weekend, stories we had, stuff we did, box openings, favorite pulls, stuff like that, and just kind of share the good time we had. But first, we want to show you the place we call home as far as TCGs are concerned, our wonderful sponsors, Meeple City Games. See you soon.
This video was brought to you by Meeple City Games in Texarkana, Texas. Do you love trying out new board games in a friendly and chill atmosphere? Do you have a love for playing all kinds of TCGs casually or competitively? Or do you simply just enjoy duking it out with an army of perfectly crafted miniatures? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, Meeple City Games is the place for you. With a slew of games of all kinds to choose from, weekly nights dedicated to hosting different TCGs, Meeple City is the one-stop shop for all of your hobby needs. And if you can't make it out to Texarkana in person, click in the link in the description to visit their online store that allows you to purchase singles and other game items from anywhere. Come join the fun at Meeple City Games.
Thank you so much, Meeple City Games, for your wonderful sponsorship. We really appreciate you. Guys, if you are in the Texarkana area, make sure you check out Meeple City Games. If you are in the entire 4 states region, we're in the corner of Texas next to Arkansas. If you come by, if you drop in, hit us up on any of like the official Discord. You can DM and stuff there. To let us know on Twitter, DM us there that you're going to come in. Maybe we can meet up, play some games at Meeple City. But
For sure.
speaking of Meeple City, we did go there for an event. I
Yes.
feel like we can go ahead and start off with that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
The Sunday of.
I'm still questioning how I just got here.
Oh.
Because I looked down.
We told
all
you you were
I'm
going to
here.
return. You're here.
Yeah, you're here.
You made it, and you're here, and we are glad that you
Yeah.
The
were able
apparition
to.
was real.
It was. It was.
So on Sunday,
Yes.
after release.
Okay,
we
we're
went
starting with the
to-
event. Gotcha.
We're starting
Gotcha.
with the event
Gotcha.
just because why not?
Yeah.
We can,
We
we can
went-
talk about the weekend and
Yeah.
just a minute after that.
We went to a sealed tournament.
Yep.
Yep.
Was not many people. Let's
No,
be very
no.
transparent about that.
Yeah, it was 4.
We're trying to
Four
build the
playing.
community here.
I was
Yeah.
the 5th, and I was helping run things.
Yeah.
So
By the way, great job. Great
yeah,
job.
we just
Yeah.
did a round robin of it where everybody played everybody, and
Which still was a lot of fun.
yeah, I gotta say we can go ahead and spoil the results of the
Yeah,
tournament.
I won.
And
thanks to what we just talked about, locations.
Thanks to what we just
Yeah.
talked about. You had Queen's Castle.
Bro, Queen's
But
Castle.
do not discount the other Emerald card that helped you win those games. It's a Lost Boy.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Kit?
It's Cubby.
Oh,
Cubby.
Cubby. Oh, yeah.
Cubby
Cubby.
was
Oh, lost
Cubby,
Boy, duh.
Cubby
nuts,
OP.
dude. He
Cubby
was
OP.
nuts. That ability to just move back and forth to locations and be like, hey, it's 6 strength. Kill your location. Here's
Yeah,
6
6
strength. Banish your location. Here's 6 strength.
It's
was
not
nuts.
6 though.
He was 6 if he was moved that turn.
He's a 4/5 and he gains 3, doesn't he?
He was a 3/5.
Yeah, 3-5
Oh,
against
okay,
3.
3-5
I believe.
against
I
3.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will put it on the screen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, and we'll
Yeah.
be either
Cubby,
right or wrong.
boom.
But what I was just gonna say, like you had a kind of bird's eye view. Like,
Yeah.
you helped someone kind of facilitate their deck and kind of
Yes.
figure out what they wanted to do. I feel like Sealed was really fun.
Yeah, Shield was,
It was
great.
a good way to experience the game and also kind of to freshly experience the set.
Yes.
I would say a little less intimidating than draft because you kind of get what you get. Your decision making's lower. I would say draft would probably be, I would call it more fun than Sealed, but Sealed has sets a very high bar for like the base level of fun that Limited can be.
Yeah.
And I would say, what were your pulls that you would say like out of your deck that were your highlights of like, oh my gosh, my
So,
Sealed deck had this.
Obviously, Queen's Castle was like
Yes.
the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
It was so good, and every single time I saw it, I won that game.
Yes, every
Like
time.
every time. So we can all agree, Queen Castle, OP. But the card that I think I probably had the most fun playing, I got Chernobog.
Oh yeah.
I still can't believe you
And-
got that card out.
And it was so freaking funny because I think two of the total, I think like, okay, so how many games did we play? So total, I think at most we could play 9 games total. So out of the possible 9 games, I didn't play 9 games, but out of the possible 9 games that I played them like 3 times.
Yeah.
So a third of the games that I played,
I don't think you ever played him against
Yeah.
me,
I didn't
though.
play him against you.
Yeah.
But I played him twice against
Ethan.
and then once against Lori.
Yeah.
It wasn't even 9 games. It was only 3 or 4, and you played him.
Yeah, because he didn't have to go to 3 games.
Yeah. I
Oh,
didn't have to
that's
go to
true.
3
That's true.
games,
That's
yeah.
true.
He only had to
So-
go to 3 games against me, folks. Thank you, McDuck Manor.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Thank
McDuck Manor
you,
did a
Peter
lot.
Pan.
Locations,
Yeah,
locations.
locations
Yeah.
did a lot. And,
Yeah.
They're very good in sealed format too.
But the thing is, though, about this sealed and this limited environment for Inklands is like, yeah, you have Rise of the Titans, but like, there's only you have to use your characters to get rid of everything.
and
almost.
you have utmost of in a box if you like Rise of the Titans is that's
steal.
but that's a common, isn't it?
Uncommon.
So it's an uncommon. So you
So
don't
you
even
have a
have,
chance.
you don't even have a
Normally-
you don't even have a complete likelihood of getting 2.
Yeah.
There's typically only a likelihood of possibly getting 1,
Yeah, out of
maybe
6 packs.
2.
Yeah.
So and that's out of the entire box.
Yeah.
So if you get 1, you're like, okay,
Okay, this
You gotta
if I
play
see
it, yeah.
locations,
Hard.
I gotta play this.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. That is something to very keep in mind if you're playing sealed of like, the packs are technically seeded to have 1 of each color common and then like different colors of each of your uncommon
Yeah.
slot. Your rares or super rares could be anything, right?
Yeah.
If you see something like, oh, I got a Don Carnage, it's kind of likely you're probably not going to see many of those because
Yeah.
like you might have gotten the only one, you know?
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
lucky on getting 2 Cubby was
Yeah.
like super high level. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I got both of them from the
And you
box.
got John Silver.
Yeah,
You got John
you
Silver.
had
too,
great.
dude.
You had great.
It was
I
so
had-
good.
I had almost every so just so that you're aware, I had basically 3 different locations in my deck, including Queen's Castle, and I had John Silver,
And you had Agrabah.
and I had oh,
Hey,
Yeah.
But one of the other people pulled Enchanted. So that,
Oh yeah,
that
Yeah,
Ethan
Ethan
actually
called out
won.
to you,
Ethan
the whole
won
thing.
because he pulled Enchanted.
Yeah.
He
Grandma
pulled Grandma
Tala.
Tala Enchanted. Dude, it's such
That
a
was-
freaking.
I
That
just
was
remember
good.
that being like, wow. Just
Yeah,
wow.
so you
Alex
can
was
go
divvying
home.
out the packs, and I'm pretty sure he felt a little more weight in that one.
Yeah,
It's like,
And
can't
literally
give him to
shuffled
this
them up
one.
and just passed him. I was like, oh, no, this one's for Ethan.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Like, you can't
no,
have
definitely
it.
not. That was crazy.
We did
I couldn't believe
discover
that
though
pull.
that Piglet packs were the ones we preferred.
Yeah,
you
Piglet
know?
packs OP.
Yeah,
I seen
there's-
more
Hey,
Enchanteds out of
well,
Piglet packs
no,
than
no, no.
any other pack.
But the Enchanted didn't come out of the Piglet
From
pack.
that one.
Was it from Mini?
It was from Mini.
No, that one was mini.
Yeah.
But I've seen more Enchanteds from Piglets than anything else.
Yeah, I
And
need to check my
legendaries.
box
And
opening.
legendaries.
Which kind of before we move on to it, would you say that with sealed, I don't think I'm saying anything mean here. That like this set in particular, I'm saying that sealed as a format can be fun, but this set in particular, I don't know if I would like really heavily go after more sealed events for Inklands in particular, because the format became, oh, you got a location.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much answers. There's no hard removal, really. There's only like Along Came Zeus
Yeah.
or
Which I also got.
or Baboom or some Rush characters. You know, like that Stitch would have been nuts.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
that
yeah.
setup. So I don't. It's like as far as like limited formats go, I feel like Rise of the Floodborn and Chapter 1 were probably like more balanced formats as far as like what each deck could probably pull off. There's because like in Chapter 1, like you have a board wipe.
Yeah,
possible.
we technically
You have the hard
did
removal.
draft in first chapter.
Yeah.
And that was definitely, it seemed more reasonable. Like everyone's deck
Mhm.
could compete.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you're saying, this one in Rise of Floodborn, whoever got the best locations had a advantage.
Into the
as long,
Inklands,
yeah. Whoever had more locations in this one
Yeah,
definitely had the advantage. They had to get to them
yeah.
and they had to see them, but they have an advantage. I agree with that. And I didn't play any Rise of the Floodborn like sealed or draft,
Yeah.
so I would say, but you're probably right. They're probably more answers for the other things. It's mostly
yeah.
character based.
And I feel like I think we can all say kind of unequivocally for set 2. Set 2 was very character dependent on
Yeah.
what you would have gotten. And so playing a sealed or draft event in that would have been infinitely harder to do.
In Rise of the Floodborn, you had Floodborns and their targets in there.
Yeah.
You might not always get both
Yeah.
in your deck, so it kind of makes it a little awkward.
It'd be hard casting some of them.
Yeah.
It makes the entire setup for what you're trying to do very awkward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But in this particular set, I felt like it was a lot easier to, especially now. Now we got a morph.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a morph.
Yeah.
You jiggly blob of mischief.
I watched that movie again recently.
Such a good movie.
I did it for you. So I would say
And
it was good.
yeah, exactly.
It's really good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
No one's saying it's not a good
I didn't
movie.
say it was bad.
I literally got it for Christmas. I
Yeah.
watched it that day.
Nice.
Like I put it in, I was like, I already know what's gonna happen. I already know what's the end. I end up falling asleep like right in the middle. But it wasn't because like I don't love the movie. It's
Yeah.
because I'm freaking tired, man. I woke up at 7:45 on Christmas Day. That's not a normal day for me, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you referring to your childhood right now?
No, I'm literally talking about like this year.
2023.
Yeah, 2023 Christmas. I
Wow.
got
Treasure Planet.
I got Treasure Planet on Blu-ray, man.
Disney Plus is a thing, dude.
But it got it on Blu-ray.
Okay.
You always have it.
Well, before we get too far into the Treasure Planet
Exactly.
extras on Blu-ray,
Thank
I
you,
just
Jim
want to
Hawkins.
bring it home for a second that we all had a good time.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, we had a great
But I
sure.
think the fun part about Sealed was like, and especially even as a spectator,
Yeah.
as a facilitator, being like, what's going to happen in this game? Is she going to find her Rise of the Titans to handle his McDuck manner?
Yeah, for
Like,
the most part, I knew what most decks had, so I
Yeah.
knew if there was a chance.
Yeah, but there's also like, I know plenty of times whenever I played my games, I was like, oh, they have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm about to play Chief Tui at Pride Lands. All my characters about to be cheaper. Like this is gonna be nice. It was fun to pull off those combos, you know.
For sure.
But let's get into some stories about like our pulls and stuff. Yours might be a little sadder, Tyler.
on the back
on
end.
the back end.
Yeah.
But
So on
yeah.
the full, like
Mhm.
on everything, now I have basically 4 of just about everything in
Yeah.
the set.
Yeah.
Like there's a few legendaries out there that I don't have 4 of, but as far as like the notable legendaries,
Mhm.
like
The ones you're wanting to play
the
too.
ones that I want to play, like Jafar and Ursula
Mhm.
and Robin Hood and Jim Hawkins,
Yeah.
I have 4 of all of
Yeah,
those.
that's great.
So and the ones that I definitely was like, I was more on the bandwagon, but I wouldn't say I've seen the light. I'm just not planning on building a deck around it.
Mm-hmm.
Milo Fetch, I got 4 of them. I got 4 Grammatala. Like,
Yeah.
I've got the ones that matter.
Yeah.
And then everything else is like, if I get it, great. If I don't, I'm not going to lose.
You're not going to
sleep
force it.
Yeah.
over it. Yeah. Like, I randomly got 4 Hydra.
Mhm.
Am I ever going to use 4 Hydra? No.
Probably not. Yeah.
Like, it's like getting 4 of what
Lucky
is
Dime.
well, yeah, that too. But like Taka.
Yeah.
Like from set 1. Like, nobody's going to play Taka.
Yeah.
But we all know that Robin Hood is just a better version of Taka.
Pretty much, yeah. I would say I was probably overall pleased with my boxes that I opened
I bet you
initially. The big hit. It's on video.
Yes.
I'll link it in the description.
Go check it out.
I don't like it when thumbnails spoil that you got an enchanted. I don't like that.
But
because-
hey, he just did,
because
so it's okay.
It technically
No, the
yeah,
thumbnail
but-
didn't
man,
spoil.
the video's been out for a long time,
Yeah.
But to me, the essence of an enchanted is this fly wants to get in on
He's
the
back.
story. The essence of a box opening video is like the surprise of it. It's like, oh, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And then whenever you put the enchanted symbol in the thumbnail, like YouTube algorithm aside, on like, oh, I get clicks. I don't really put the box opening videos on there for clicks. I do it as like a documentation of like,
yeah.
this is what we opened. This was our first box of the set.
We had fun.
We had fun doing it. And I feel like if I would have slapped an enchanted like tease on it,
Yeah.
no disrespect to anyone who does do it. To me personally, it makes the video less exciting. I might be likely to click on it, sure.
Yeah, you might get more
You're
clicks, but people are
waiting
going to
for it.
skip to it
Yeah,
sometimes.
you're waiting for the enchanted, like you're
Yeah.
scrolling to see where the most watched is.
Then
and
after
stuff.
they get the enchanted, you might click off.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what else are they going to get? Maybe some legendaries,
But you got my authentic reaction on that video because anybody who's watching it doesn't know I get an enchanted. So they're probably just as surprised as me. We put the face cams on there, but the phone stopped recording right before we got to the pack. So we had to
It's impressive.
Yeah. So then Tyler was like watching behind the scenes on the face cam, and he's like, he started the recording mid of me freaking out about the enchanted. So, no one wanted. God did not want my face to be shown when I got that enchanted. Maybe I made a really
He made a
ugly
really
face.
ugly face.
But
Maybe.
I'm gonna be
Maybe.
real with you.
it-
He made an ugly
oh,
face.
well, to me, you can hear it though.
Oh yeah,
You can hear it.
You can
see
hear
my
the
hands
ugly
go,
face.
Yeah.
Because it's like I've never pulled an enchanted without like I wouldn't say like without expecting it. I've technically pulled an enchanted. It was like 12:30 at night in my kitchen while I'm alone.
Random.
But the cool thing, that was the Aladdin Heroic Outlaw. I was
Yep.
really happy about that. But the cool thing was like this is the first box. I had multiple to open that day. I chose to open the first one. It's the one that had the enchanted. But that wasn't even the highlight of the day for me.
So the next one's my highlight.
Yeah, so go ahead. You
So
tell it.
I didn't pull an enchanted. No, I still have yet to pull an enchanted. So
Buddy's bottom though.
So I have a few, but I have not pulled one myself. But my favorite enchanted pull of this release weekend we had was Jacob deciding, hey, we got some starter decks. We film them sometimes.
Yeah.
They're nice, but like we're just showing the contents.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone knows what's in them. We were like we're not necessarily worried about that video. We're gonna do the box videos and we're gonna do
We'll
a
do the
trove.
Trove video. That's more
And-
important because they
and-
got better.
Exactly, and they're
Yeah,
cool.
significantly.
Exactly. Yeah, the troves. I love the dice and the card providers. And then Jacob's
Troves,
just sitting there,
legit.
and me and Jacob are sitting there
Yeah,
at the kitchen table, and he opens it up, and I hear him freak out,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, what? You just opened a starter deck,
Yeah.
and then I noticed he opened the pack. I was like, no way,
Dude,
And
I
what
got a
was in your hands?
I got a legendary Mickey Mouse trumpeter.
Yep.
And I was already like, dude, a legendary in the starter
Which
deck.
is
Yep.
which
That's
to be
sick.
fair is not a great card.
But I got a legendary.
But it's a
in the starter
legendary
You
in
got
a
a
starter
legendary
deck.
in a
That's
and
so
then,
sweet.
What was the next card?
And then the very next, I got Morph.
Morph.
The
You're
enchanted
jiggly
Morph.
blob
Out of a
this
starter
shit.
deck.
And by watching me freak out, folks, it was not just, oh my gosh. It was, I literally jumped out of my seat.
Yes.
Was jumping for joy in my living room going, whoa, yeah.
You should have seen
It's-
the
it's
jump
that-
for
it's that
joy,
little kid at
and then the
Christmas.
rush down to like, dang, I probably should have recorded this one. It was the funniest thing ever. And I was like, well, we're probably going to end up recording every starter deck video
Yeah.
now just because.
And it just won't see the light of day.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not good. But good Lord, guys.
Is there enchanted in there? Nope. All right.
Set 4 starter deck videos. If you see it, There's probably an enchanted in that
Yeah,
video.
this is your hint.
Yeah,
We're letting you know really
like a
far
full
ahead.
legendary or something.
unless the deck is like absolutely cracked. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
insanely
true.
good. I would probably show it there.
Or if
but-
they like add new contents.
Yeah.
Like new contents in the
and
boxes.
add some dice to the starter deck.
Oh,
Dude, yes,
Well,
please.
They're like, this is a starter.
Yep, guys, these starter decks are getting huge.
Yeah.
The box is the size of a trove.
But no, that pull right
you've
there
seen
was
Magic boxes.
the most outrageous one because
Oh,
I was
yeah.
not expecting it. And I go, dang, I should have bought a starter deck.
but then on top of that, he sends the picture of Morph to our group chat, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
so Jake, I already hate you for
That was
getting
his
the first
chase.
one.
That was your chase.
That was literally the card that I wanted, and besides Jim Hawkins, and I'm just sitting there like, I hate you. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you just want to rub it in my face?
You should be happy for your friend.
You know what? I can be happy and miserable all at the same time. That's basically my life.
Well, here, look. I would say this. If an enchanted gets pulled in the group, in the friend group,
I'll be excited for
no,
you.
I know you're excited. That's not my point. My point is, if an enchanted gets pulled in the friend group, at least you know, unless that enchanted is like the chase of the chases.
Yeah.
Maybe one day in set 4, they come out with Pocahontas Colors of the Wind enchanted that I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. I would value that more than Morph.
Hey, that's
you know?
Disney princess.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I'm just saying. I
Give
would
him the
value-
Mickey hat too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, but like that's like a situation of like, okay, I'll trade you.
What you want?
You know, so it's in the group, so it's like it's accessible. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I would say that that's to me that's like whenever y'all get cards, you're like, if you want, I want to test this card out. You get that card. I'm like, okay, so if you don't like it, maybe I can trade for it. Who knows? So that is the box openings. Is there any other stories y'all wanted to share about the release weekend? Initial thoughts?
To me,
I think the deck building was probably the most interesting part about a lot of it was like because I know that you ended up having to leave, but me and Alex deck built for quite a while, at least like in the initial.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, some really interesting decks now. Like
yeah, it definitely feels the
shook-
game
it shook
feels
things
most fleshed out than
Yeah.
it has been so far.
because I feel like set 3 put out some stuff that it's not the fact that we weren't expecting it because we do plenty of reveals. We know what's coming, but it feels like it felt like kind of like what Alex was saying. It feels more fleshed out, but at the same time, it's like I got some stuff that I can do now as either as more of a flavor win or it feels more like okay, I could win with this, or it's like I'm gonna dominate. And
Yeah.
but there's just more.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I can either play Ruby Amethyst or Amber Steel or Emerald Steel discard.
Yeah.
Like those were the 3 decks
Those
last
decks
format.
are
It's like-
still, to be very clear, those decks are still very good.
yeah, no, they're all very good.
But I feel like Sapphire took a huge jump in this set.
Oh, yeah.
Not that like Grandma Tala the Floodborn is like this insane card that is just
It is very good.
but it's a card that at least opens a door. I feel like with Sapphire, the more important thing is you got like stuff like 4-cost Grandma Tala that it's kind of like a Maleficent Sorceress but better, and gives you a body on board. It gives you the ability to kind of filter through your deck. How far I'll go, we'll see. But just in general, McDuck Manor, as we discussed before, added a dimension to Sapphire.
Yeah, it's not even the fact that like it's good because I'm not saying that it's not good because it is good. It's more or less the fact that it allows you to do exactly what it's kind of being a part of. It's being greedy.
Yeah.
Like you're putting it in there, not because it's amazing, because it's a vanilla, but it's still good
Yeah.
for what it does.
It's very solid.
Yeah. And it makes it where Sapphire already kind of had a good control setup.
Yeah.
And control setups typically need that payoff. And that McDuck Manor can kind of be a clock on the board while you're being controlled.
Same thing with Matanui.
Yeah. It's a good ramp. Yeah, for sure.
Because Matanui is like, oh, you've got Grandma Tala out? Yeah, go ahead. Knock out my stuff. Please. I dare you.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you wanted to share about it?
No, my main thing is I had to share the Morph story. Like, I was like, I gotta share that one.
It's his story.
It was the
Not
most. I didn't pull the card, but my goodness, it was the
you
most
were
hype.
there. I'm
I
so
was
glad
there.
you were there. I would have been so mad if I opened that alone.
The only
yeah.
one.
I would have been so mad. But either way, I
I'm
had
not the only one.
I think the release in general was really successful. I think there was so much product available.
Yes, they did a
across the
very good
stores.
job on that.
Dude.
All the boxes that were available to people, you kind of got one if you wanted one.
Yeah.
You got a trove if you wanted one for most people. I mean, the busy places, not so much for the troves, but getting cards in hands is all we wanted.
And we did it.
It feels like the allocations for this set has been more than what we wanted. It's left where like I know we can go get packs in
Dude,
the
they
store
had
right now.
50.
Yeah,
They
if
had
we
50.
if we wanted more cards,
Yeah.
we could get them right now. And it's helped singles prices. Holy cow, it's helped
Yes.
singles prices. Super rares are like $5 or less.
Yeah,
And if that,
Yeah.
some rares, most rares are $5 or
Yep.
less.
There's only a couple.
Even
Everything
it's-
else is like cents or a dollar.
It's really the legendaries that it's like the sacrifice had to be made for your pricing.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay cheap prices for everything, then some cards are going to be nuts. And the power level of the legendaries, we kind of said it in the previous episode. It's legit.
This is how I want them though. This is how I
Yeah.
want my legendaries. I want
Yes.
this power level.
I
sure.
have to know though, where did we rank Ursula before this?
We ranked her an A+.
A plus. I would like to go ahead and retcon that right now.
She's an S.
She's an S.
Yeah, and Jafar
She's-
should be an A+, not an S.
Yeah, I would
because
definitely
you're-
flop those.
Yeah, and I feel like the other S we had. Wait, maybe the other S we had was Grandma Tala.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not
an
S,
She's
no.
not an S.
She's
But
an A.
she's a very special lady.
she's a solid A.
Yeah. Well,
Anything else for you to add, or is that pretty much it?
Dad.
No, I said for you to add.
Oh, I thought you said anything else for you, Dad?
Nope, for you to
I
add.
will be a dad very soon.
Yes.
But
We're throwing it in back
no,
right back.
I
in
do
there.
want to add one thing, and it was that I feel like as far as releases go, from here on out, I will make it a priority to experience the set with some kind of limited
Yeah.
interaction format. Like,
Yeah.
because that to me, like, you have all the time in the world for constructed, but the amount of like social engagement time we had opening and like, you don't always feel the ability to build a deck immediately when you open cards. You kind of get overwhelmed with like the paradox of choice.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
too many things to
we,
do.
Me and Tyler had that
Yeah.
problem the
You
first
can-
night.
The first
Just trying to
chapter
sort
one-
through all this stuff.
Chapter
was
1, no one knew how
nuts.
the game really played, so we
Yeah.
spent so long just trying to build something and trading. We didn't know what to do. And this set, the limited format kind of gave me a way to like get those juices flowing of, okay, I'm experiencing the Inklands. Let me put a deck together in a limited format, kind of get that creativity going, see how these cards interact, learn what I like, what I don't like. I can always view it through the lens of like, this was only good because it's limited. I know that.
Yeah.
But some cards I was like, no, this is going to be good no matter what. So it was a cool way to experience it.
Like Kick
So,
Cloud Kicker.
Yeah.
The
Dude,
three
Kit
drop
is legit.
emerald, ridiculous.
great.
And the
Super
Floodborn
solid.
kit with the Ward and Quest for 3,
I hate
I
that
beat
card.
you with that card alone almost
Yeah.
in the limited format.
Yeah,
So
100%.
it's pretty sweet. I think that kind of wraps up our release stories
Yeah.
segment, but we do want to get some mailbag questions. We did
Yes.
not ask YouTube or Twitter this time for more questions because last time I felt so bad that we did not
we
get a
didn't
chance
able
to
to
get
get
to
to
any.
any.
So we're actually using mailbag questions from our episode 20 mailbag request. I hope you're cool with that
Ayo.
because some of these questions are like, we
They're
have more
legit.
context to answer them
Yes.
now. So we will be right back. But first, we would like to thank our sponsor, Texarkana Podcast Studio, for all this wonderful equipment we're able to use even when we're remote.
Yes.
So shout out to Texarkana Podcast Studio. We'll see y'all in a bit.
This episode is also sponsored by Texarkana Podcast Studio. Wanting to start your very own podcast or voice web series? Well, Texarkana Podcast Studio is the place for you. Whether it's true crime, sports, murder mystery, or a fun card game you want to talk about with your friends, Texarkana Podcast Studio is here for all of your recording needs. Check out the link in the description below to schedule your first session today. Texarkana Podcast Studio, where your voice is heard.
Thank you so much, Texarkana Podcast Studio. We literally could not do this without you.
Literally.
So, mailbag.
Mailbag
Here we
question.
go. So the first one is from Toby-san.
Toby-san!
And We
We
have
love you, man.
troves, we have gift sets, and we have starter decks. They have also announced a 2-player set that will teach new players the game. If Ravensburger were to announce one more new box item to sell alongside these, what would you like to see? And he
think-
also said, hold on, I'm going to throw this out there. He said, BT Dubs, thanks for answering my question in the last show, you guys.
Hey, you keep asking good questions, we keep answering. That's what
For
it
sure.
is.
This is a great question.
Yeah. So I think the product he's referring to is the Lorcana Gateway. It's like the
Yes.
the themed thing that's kind of like meant for new player introduction. One thing I really, really want to highlight about that, I really hope they use the exact same art and the exact same look of whatever cards they put in those decks. Like if there's a Mickey Mouse Detective in there, I want it to look exactly like Chapter 1 Mickey Mouse Detective. Because if you don't, you're going to create a situation of like, now I got to get this.
Yeah.
Because I need the art for that Mickey Mouse Enchanted or Mickey Mouse Detective. I need the new art because I need.
Yeah,
to
I
be
think for a
collecting.
product like that, yes. And I think
It's meant for the
other
audience.
box products could be like the 100
Yeah.
year promos and stuff like
Yeah.
that, where you can maybe some really expensive cards you can re-release with the new art and help pricing and stuff like
Yeah.
that, or
The-
just playable
If the
stuff.
collectability is the reason you make it,
Yeah,
then
no.
make the cards collectible.
Exactly, exactly.
But I was just saying, like, I remember they did that for the Pokemon Battle Academy.
Yes,
sets.
and it was
they added the little symbols at the bottom, and I'm like,
that's kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of want a Charizard with the Charizard symbol at the bottom.
So
yeah.
as for products, I'll kick things off. I want a actual pre-release product.
Oh, pre-release kit.
Yes, a little pre-release kit. I'm just thinking of games recently. So the Star Wars Unlimited pre-release kits and are really cool. I like how they give you everything you need, and then there's 2 little promos you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
But in those starter decks things, but they're already, like they have other versions of them, but that version in the pre-release, they're foil on one side, so it's really cool. So like, I like the idea of a pre-release kit because like we talked about, we liked the sealed format. It's the same thing, but in a little kit that you can buy instead of opening up a booster box to crack and pass out packs
And
like we did at our sealed event.
I feel like in general, like this game does not yet have an actual pre-release setup in the first place. Like obviously we cracked open a
stores
box.
do what they want to do.
Yeah,
pretty
we
much.
cracked open a box to be able to do the sealed event, but if we would have had actual like
Yeah, Pokemon has the build and battle kits where like
Yes.
they're the box.
Yeah.
You get the box.
That we've done a pre-release
and same,
with that
same,
before.
same thing with Magic. Magic has pre-release kits.
Yeah.
So
That would be
you
my
get cool
vote.
dice in
Pre-release,
those,
yeah,
too.
you get
That's pretty neat.
something unique about it. Like I said, the foil alternate Luke and Vader and the other,
Yeah.
or some cool dice. Like the dice we just got in the troves. Throw those in some pre-release kits.
Yeah.
I would have bought one too.
Honestly, dude, I think having like a really cool D20 that's meant to be a lore tracker in a way, a spin down D20 like the Magic sets have had in the past. Like to me, that like a pre-release kit, that's a great answer because the whole idea of this game in its infancy is like we want to get it into as most hands as possible.
Yep.
How do you do that? You go to pre-release events. You get excited for launches of new sets. What's the best product for that? Boom, pre-release kit. You get like 6 packs in there. You can build something with it.
Exactly.
You get a cool promo. You get a dice that's set up.
That's my answer.
It makes too much sense.
I think it's a winner. So
Tyler, you got an
anyone
answer
else?
for this?
Anything else?
I do have one, but I don't want you to go.
honestly, I think having. So I get that we have the gift set where it's got the 2 large cards and the like special like foil version of 2 cards. That's great. I'm looking for a freaking 10, man.
Oh,
like,
a 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
like kind of like
Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
that makes sense.
Kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh and
Yeah,
Pokemon.
Pokemon do
where,
10s
where
too.
they, but
You get a little
like,
promo.
but
something.
a special, like not just a special promo, but like a special foiling promo.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the only one that you can get out of that. Like that's how you get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool.
That's a
like,
good-
where
that's a good
it's-
one, too.
It's
Good
just
answer.
like a one.
I have a great answer as
It's
well.
a
I'm
one
just
off.
saying.
Okay, go
You
for
ready
it.
for this, guys?
All right, what is it?
Let me open your minds. All right.
If I don't have my chakras open right now
Okay.
because of this, I'm done with you.
So, you're all familiar with like in Pokemon the League battle decks.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell
right?
you no.
The EX battle decks. It's essentially constructed decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, or it's like
Or like Magic,
or like
structured
commander
deck.
decks
Yeah,
in Magic.
yeah.
Like those are
Structured-
themed-
structured in Pokemon,
yeah.
right?
Yu-Gi-Oh is structured.
No,
decks.
Yu-Gi-Oh is
Yeah.
structured. That's right.
Either way, in a game in its infancy, you don't
yeah,
have enough
battle
cards to build a full deck that's themed to push. You only have starter decks right now in Lorcana.
Yeah.
And they're even pulling from older sets now. Like the Chapter 1 starter decks were all Chapter 1. Rise of the Floodborn, though, sprinkled Chapter 1. Into the Inklands, I'm pretty sure it sprinkles Chapter 1 and
2.
Floodborn.
Yeah.
But everybody knows that those decks are built to facilitate new players to the game.
Yeah.
But I think the coolest thing in some of the other TCGs that in Lorcana has room to grow and room to learn. What are you doing if you're not learning from your competition, right? If you, by the time you have like 4 sets out, have a product that's like, so you like pirates.
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
we have a pirate deck for you, and this is not a starter deck. This is not going to have.
You're gonna get
your-
4 copies of the cards
yeah,
you want, 4
you're gonna
copies
get-
of that aren't
yes,
legendaries.
You're getting 4 John Silvers.
Yeah.
You're
Or
getting
or 2, kind of like what.
Yu-Gi-Oh did
Yeah,
sometimes.
kind-
You
yeah.
can make it as
Yu-Gi-Oh
good
did
as
that
you
all
want
the
to
time.
get. But my point is, it is a constructed,
Yeah.
ready deck, especially for cards that are like older cards. Like if there are like legit Chapter 1 cards that maybe aren't in print anymore, that's a way for you to slow roll and like keep those cards coming without officially reprinting an entire set. It keeps the game
Yeah,
infused.
I think was it Pokemon that did it with League Battle decks?
That's what I said.
That you
Yeah,
said League Battle decks.
deck.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
Sometimes you have decks that can play
Yes.
against each other, but this is just like this is a
No, yeah,
Lucario
because a
deck.
lot of times it was like they did like the world champion deck
Yes,
of the year
yes.
before. Okay, you're getting all reprints, but it is a world champion deck. It
Yeah.
won last year and it
Yeah.
got printed. Like, I like
that's
that.
easier to do with rotation.
Yeah.
If you use rotation as your format, because they know that they're like, I'm not just giving these people. as a business, like I'm not giving them a reason to stop spending money.
Yeah.
You know, but with Lorcana, even if it is eternal and all cards are playable all the time, you can still say like, Be Prepared hasn't been printed in 3 years. What if we threw 2 Be Prepareds in this structure deck here?
Yeah.
And you could come up with a cool name for it, like I don't know, like a franchise deck, or or like a story deck, or something
for
like
sure,
that.
naming, yeah.
If it has a theme to it. But that's my answer.
Those are. I
Of
think
like-
they're all
Yeah.
good answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good answer.
Drawing
Good
from,
answer.
drawing from what we've learned from the past.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
taking
Those
them
are
into the
all good
future.
ones.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right. What's the next question, Alex?
Okay. We got the next question, and
Thank you,
it
Toby.
is yes, thank you. This one is
You the man.
from John. It's at GG_light sout. Lights out instead of lights out.
On YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's
okay.
lights out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just saying. I'm just
Lights out.
lights out. I'm just saying that break in the wrong spot. Anyways, John, thank you for your question. Your question is, what deck or decks are you most hyped to play test first now that all the cards have been revealed, regardless of how competitive they might be?
Okay. Tyler, you should start. This.
So the answer to that, for me at least at the beginning, was Pirates. But that was mostly because I love Jim Hawkins.
Yeah. It's pretty much Treasure Planet.
Yeah,
Pretty
it
much.
literally is just mostly Treasure Planet. But I think the mentality moving forward after that was, okay, what can I build that I'm going to have the most fun playing, but I'm also going to be the most competitive using? And the deck that I came up with, I like to call Dragon Fruit. And Dragon Fruit is Amethyst Emerald because it's... Yeah, because if you look at a dragon fruit, it's literally that color. It's
Yeah.
purple and green. On the outside, on the inside, it's deliciousness, awesome. But that's not the point. The point is that I think that it's the most consistent. It's got the easiest. It's got a fun, like, interesting removal set where, like,
It's got bounce.
yeah, it's
Pretty
it's
much.
got
It's a
bounce.
tempo
Bounce
play.
and rush. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's tempo. Right?
yes, but it's just a fun deck. Like it's a little bit of
What are you-
everything.
What would you and stick to this rule I'm giving you? 3 most important cards in the deck.
Ursula.
Okay. The singer Ursula. Like
Yes,
not
the singer.
but
yeah,
like
the
Deceiver of all.
Legendary.
literally
Deceiver of all.
the
Legendary
best
Ursula.
the best Ursula out there. Ursula, Jafar is kind of important.
He's
but
in there?
Yes, he is
Playing
in there.
both.
Yeah,
Porque no los dos?
Not
mi
in
amigo?
mine.
yeah. He's called the secondary win condition.
Okay.
And then Queen's Castle. Like
Yeah,
those
solid.
3 cards kind of make.
You just
or break
named
it.
3 of the best cards in set 3. So
Yep, basically.
All in
makes
one deck.
sense.
All in
All
one
right, Alex. What about you?
Mine has one answer and one answer only.
Oh.
Perdita.
Oh yes.
I
That
have
is
from
good.
the very beginning of our show.
He's
from
been asking for this for a long
forever,
time.
I wanted some sort of recursion,
Yeah.
and it gave me that, and that was the first deck I wanted
Dare
to build.
I
Boy,
say,
howdy.
you were at an all-time low of playtime during set 2.
Yes, for
the
sure.
day I sent you Perdita, I think I resurrected your love of the game.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think I literally
There was a
recurred
combination
your
of
love.
things, but that was that
Yeah.
that Perdita. I was like, whoa, this is what I've been asking for.
For those
Yeah.
D&D fans out there, he used Revivify.
You knocked that Lorcana answered.
Yeah, I'm very happy that they made that
What's your
card,
combo?
especially in the first
What's your
3.
combo with it? Like ink.
Gross.
I have it with steel.
Okay.
Right now I'm playing a lot of the singers, especially if they're 2-drop or less. One I've play testing that I haven't seen anyone's is Sebastian,
Oh,
so it can
yeah.
sing Along Came Zeus. I
And
like
you can
it.
bring it back.
And I can bring
That's
it back
pretty sweet.
because
I
it's like Ariel's
absolutely
nice.
hate that combination because I've played against it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Ariel's nice, but I trimmed out the Ariels because I didn't have that many songs because it's mostly
You
a
also
character
don't
deck.
have a whole lot
That's
of
pretty-
fives.
It's
Honestly,
mostly a
hold
character
on a
deck because
second.
it's like
Hold on, hold
Pongos,
on.
Perditas.
You just told me you cut
Piglet.
Ariel in an amber deck that has
Yeah.
songs in it.
Yeah.
Are you insane?
It's because she doesn't hit near as much.
okay. How many songs do you have?
Let's see. There's
You have
Long Came Zeus.
Yep.
Strength of a Raging Fire.
Yep.
Let the Storm Rage On.
Nope.
Oh.
That got cut for
Grab Your Swords.
Nope.
Oh.
That's why. No 5 ones.
Oh.
That's why.
You're only paying
'Cause I'm
attention to
at-
4 and less because you're trying to pull back the 2s that can sing it.
Yeah. The only other one is Bare Necessities.
Oh, that card's great. Though.
So I have 12. So
card's
there's
great.
enough to make room for her, but
I
not,
get it, though.
not
I
getting
get
her
it.
off of Pongo or getting her off of Perdita. It's like,
I get it.
And
That
because
makes
I'm like,
sense.
if you wipe my board, I'm just going to keep trying to bring it back. It was, I've been playtesting around. Like, Sebastian's been nice. I had the Windy in there for a little while, but I'm like, man, the Singer 2 is nice.
Yeah.
The more
Singer
that we
4.
talk,
Oh, yeah, Singer 4. Yeah, Singer 4. 2-drop, Singer 4.
I feel like the more that we talked about Wendy Darling, she's great. She's great too.
Oh, she's solid.
Yeah, but the more that we played around with it, I feel like the more that we're like
She was ink all the time for me.
every single time she was ink.
But to me, the
kind of
deck.
felt a little bit like Jumba Jukiba from set
Yes,
one.
bit.
yes. The deck's definitely not as competitive because I look at the Steel Song list
Yeah.
and I can make that too, and
Yeah.
it's better deck. Like to me,
But-
it has more answers for things. But I'm like, but I can surprise some people.
Oh yeah.
Like I've
Oh,
won
I
with
know.
that deck more than I've won with my Emerald Amethyst meta deck.
yeah.
I've won with the other deck more, and
Well,
I'm just like,
there's something
what?
to be said for catching people off guard
Yeah.
too, and I think the fact that Perdita's on play
Yes.
is
That makes everything.
It's like because
I love the
it
card.
makes the surprise factor that much harder. It's not like, oh, what am I going to do about Perdita? It's
Yeah.
I didn't even plan for Perdita. You know,
Yep.
because it's not like she's like in all Amber decks.
Yeah.
She's not that crazy. So it's if you build around it, she can be.
But if you look at
nuts.
the price, it's starting to creep.
It's starting to
It's
creep.
starting to
People
creep
learn,
up
man.
because all of a sudden people are like, "Wait a minute, it does what?
It's a
on
testament-
play?"
It's a testament
Oh.
to Lorcana appealing to new players because I feel like the community reaction to cards has been a little slower
Yeah.
than people who have played a lot of other TCGs. If the community was just full of like TCG grinders, everyone's played every
Yeah.
TCG, maybe people would hop on the Perdita train a little earlier.
I was on it
But
as soon as I saw the
yeah,
card.
you were on it. But I mean, like people,
Yep.
people who are newer to the game might not realize just how good
Yes.
Perdita's effect is. Of like, no, this will never stop.
Yeah.
If you don't get Perdita off the board, so I love that answer. That is so you. You beat me with that deck, and I was like, bro, there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't have a board state to contest her. 6 willpower is really difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
To chew through.
Something about 1/6 just seems
Yeah.
really, really
Hiram
strong.
Flaversham does the same thing. It makes you go,
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So with
It's like, do I want to try? And
my
contest
answer
it?
for this, you had one deck because you like really honed in on that deck.
Oh, yeah.
You made the Emerald Amethyst as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I just mostly
seeing
because
a
I pulled
pattern
I pulled
here.
most of the cards for it. and
Yeah.
I-
If you pulled enough Ursulas, you're like, I got it.
Dude,
Yeah.
I feel,
Yeah.
like didn't. Oh, that's right. I traded you.
I pulled
one.
3 and traded you one.
Yeah,
Traded you one.
which was hilarious because then I went and had to go buy me a 4th one. I had 4.
But you facilitated your friend having an Ursula
I did.
deck. Yeah,
So
that makes
basically,
sense.
what I did was I bought him a 4th one.
Listen, you got some Jim Hawkins. You should
Yeah,
be
you got
happy.
some-
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. To be fair, I did get all 4 Jim Hawkins basically because of him. So
Not all. Not all
not
for
all 4.
Ursula.
No, but two
I'd be
of
mad
them,
if I did
yes.
that.
All right. So here's
yeah.
the deal. I am hindered on my deck building ability.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because
Yes.
I have plenty of cards. I'm not complaining about that. I am in the Glimmer Gang Gauntlet tournament.
Yep.
And it is, I've talked about it on the show before. Quickly, if you have not listened to any other episodes, the Glimmer Gang, the YouTube channel, is hosting a charity tournament. The format is 60 card decks, rares and lower only for cards. So no supers or legends. Can't play enchanteds either, to be fair. Unless it's an enchanted.
I was
of
about to
rare
say,
I was
lower.
about to say, I was
Unless it's
like,
enchanted of
hey,
rare lower.
yeah.
I just thought, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone, all 15 people were assigned a unique ink combination to represent, and all of our decks are secret. So I can't talk about the results of anything that's happened already until episode 1 is out there and where you've seen my games. I will not spoil a second of it. The deck building for that, though, was troublesome. I had 16 different iterations of my Steel Sapphire deck. Like, it was hard.
Yeah.
That because it's a new format and a different like rarity setup. So
Yeah,
you can't
and
predict
just
it.
straight up different card sets.
Yeah.
Like initially, I feel like before set 3 officially released everything, and they talked about everything. It's like, okay, I have a general idea of what this is gonna be, and then all of a sudden, set 3 was like, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
here's all this. Like, oh,
If set 3 wasn't as good of a set, I would have been able to build my deck way sooner.
Yeah.
But the deck was the cards were so impactful
yeah,
that it changed my whole mindset. So
set 3 OP.
The reason I say I'm limited in my deck building is I just don't have the brain space to really deep dive into multiple decks and build different things. Like I need to play test what I'm building, make sure it works. And so I've had to put everything on the back burner while I'm focusing on this deck. Now
Yeah.
the deck is built now. It's built.
Yeah. Now you don't have to
So now I
focus
don't
on
have
it.
to focus on
The
it
deck's
as much.
done.
But I'll say, other than that, the immediate thing that stuck out to me was I got to make Grandma Tala work.
Yep.
Like the legendary Grandma Tala, I got to make her work. I might not play 4 of her because I don't own 4 of her. But as far as I've seen, you really only need 2. Like 2 or 1, you can make it work. Because once she's on board, you just crank.
Yeah.
Well, I want to build Grandma Tala. That's my fun deck. That's what I really want to try. And then the other strategy is just after everybody leaves the Ruby Amethyst Club, they've already had all their dance and gotten it all out of their system. I'm going to sneak into the Ruby Amethyst Club and go, hey, guys, I've been a Ruby player for a long time, and I like Jim Hawkins quite a bit. So I'm trying to build Ruby Amethyst in a Jim Hawkins setup. And yes, I'm playing the bounce package because why wouldn't you? But I stand by it. It is different because I have Jim Hawkins. Maybe not different from everybody else's deck, but it's not the same flavor as the Rise of the Floodborn Ruby Amethyst. I'm trying to make it more like location-based, synergistic, and just, innovate a little bit. I love Prince Eric.
Yeah.
He's been pretty sweet. But that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
It's a good
All
answer.
right.
Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you so much, guys, for your questions for the mailbag. Hopefully, the setup and the audio quality of this whole space for the remote recording is good. But we appreciate you tuning in this far. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed the show so far. If you are on Spotify, give us that rating, that 5-star rating that we would appreciate so very much. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything left to be said other than thanks for watching, guys. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I do. One thing, as it always should be. Digital me. Take us out. Thanks again, guys, for listening to Ready Set Live. If you could, like and share the content and subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting that notification bell for updates on when we post new content. Don't forget to leave a comment as we check for any questions that you guys might have, as well as things to add to our mailbag portion of the podcast. And who knows, maybe your question will be answered in the next episode. And thanks again to Texarkana Podcast Studio for their contribution in making this episode possible. As always, this is the crew from Ready Set Draw, ending our turn.